Hello, this is Clayton Balmas. I'm your teacher today here in our audio classroom with SynMax University here at synmaxperformancelubricants.com. Here we are at part 5 of our multiple part series with racing and commercial coolant systems. This is about all-weather maintenance and antifreeze effects on performance. Now, a coolant, we need to have a chemical design for maximum performance. Now, we've shared this in our other series that we talked about. But you see, a coolant system treatment should have the latest modern and advanced selection of each specific water chemical material available. Then we have to maximize each of the different chemical levels to work within a neutral, balanced water environment. You see, today's companies use similar types of chemicals and water chemical materials, but for business and economic reasons, they make what we call the cheaper choice to either reduce the chemical percentage levels or use less costly base materials, basically because prices go up, which suffers within the coolant system treatment's overall short and long-term performance and efficiency. So we need to choose premium coolant system chemistry formulation for maximum results. Why? Because we have a business model here called an engine, okay, and a radiator, and these products are very costly. And the better you take care of it in the early stages, the longer and more efficient it's going to last in the end. Now, coolant system maintenance. Coolant systems, now I know we were talking racing, but it's racing as well, but usually this is for your commercial and automotive applications. But coolant systems are the most forsaken and poorly maintained area in the automobile. It really is. Hey, just pour the water in. Yeah. Well, when you open the cap and it looks like, the Wisconsin River on the inside, and that's not a good thing, uh, then they wonder why it don't work. But anyway, it's the most poorly maintained area in the automobile. And so for whether it's racing or high performance or truck and commercial applications. Now in your all-weather um, things, we really would require maintenance about every 2 years. Now I know in trucks they have an acidic environment that they try to maintain. But the thing here is for your standard automotive application, you really need to check that or even drain it every 2 years and replace it for trouble-free operation. Um, when you replace the coolant, you replenish the corrosion inhibitors and treatment chemicals, which is required. Um, the additional reason for the maintenance is to check for possible electrolysis or a small voltage charge which is in the coolant system. Now we shared about electrolysis in our other presentation. Because if you remember, electrolysis works similar to a corrosive battery acid within the coolant. It's a small voltage living within the high salt and acidic environment, causing accelerated and irreversible corrosion, erosion, and component damage. You see, neutral purified water has double the heat transfer and capacity as compared to a 50-50 glycol antifreeze. We shared that in the other presentation. But most passenger automobiles and commercial trucks have a cooling system designed to reject and do the heat transfer sufficient under normal, what I call 2000 RPM operating conditions with the 50-50 glycol and the neutral purified water. Racing applications is literally quadrupled, and they require a 100% maximum effectiveness for performance and protection. A premium coolant system treatment used with chemistry used with the neutral water will increase the all-weather coolant system efficiency at an average of 5 to 10%. Now, chemistry performs best with neutral water, all right? And we talked about this before. Long life, all-weather antifreeze, a premium antifreeze. You see, acidic salts, which was explained, will slowly break down the antifreeze and coolant solution, or the glycols and the glycerin, etc. So the solution is at the beginning, avoid the entire problem. Start with the pH balanced, with the salt and the minerals cleansed from the water, with a premium surface protection chemistry is found within the SynMax water cooler products. And you can be able to check this with your own pH meter. Even a swimming pool meter, or strips. Those work pretty good. You see, we have to have corrosion and acidic protection. Coolant which has been left in the coolant system for several years. Now, this is really important for your classic hot rod cars, okay, and your vintage cars. You know, will become acidic because the oxidation of the glycol to acids, electrolysis, which is the voltage decomposing the coolant, and also, we always like a 50-50 mixture, but for really, if you were to keep the glycol concentration below 50%, say 35 to 40, it will greatly help the stability. And pH balance and acid neutralization is very important. And as we said, you can check these pH and acid with simple pH strips. Here's a problem. Antifreeze alone is not sufficient enough to protect against corrosion. Your glycol and your chemistries. I mean, honestly, they don't put the premium chemistry. You think they do, in your glycol mixture. They don't. Because the main component of an antifreeze is what we call ethylene glycol. And when it's used during its lifetime, will break down an acidic. It is not a long life product. I'm going to tell you right now, you've got to change that stuff out. I mean, in a non-truck commercial environment, which normally looks at it, in your automobile, you need to change it out no later than 30, 40,000 miles or every 2 years, okay? No coolant is a long life coolant. It just, you cannot afford the end of the coolant life cycle. It is dangerous, all right? Because during its lifetime, it will break down and become acidic, forming what we call a glycolic acid. And then the standard corrosion inhibitors within the antifreeze seriously becomes depleted by the 24,000 mark of the miles. Then the glycolic acid attacks cylinder liners, radiator cores, engine parts, and materials like head gaskets. Now, it won't do it right away, but I guarantee if you leave it in there by your 100,000 mark, or more, you're going to need a set of head gaskets, all right? When the coolant becomes acidic, it also accelerates the electrolysis or voltage carrying process. Now, the answer is by using a premium treatment, which increases corrosion inhibitor levels. Furthermore, that is why the 7.0 neutral water use is so critical. Freezing point depression. A coolant system chemistry is not an antifreeze product and does not reduce the freezing point of water. I don't care if it's the most advanced science chemistry that's available from SynMax Performance lubricants or its competitive products that are out there. All that these products do is provide metal surface protection and improve the performance of the fluid for heat transfer. It does not lower the freezing point. See, on a minimum, when a vehicle is to experience a freezing point, we need to have at least a 20% glycol type antifreeze mixture to be used. Now, standard four-season winter climate conditions require a minimum of 40, no more than 50% glycol mixture. You see, when water expands when it's frozen, about 9%, which will cause severe engine damage. Remember, even in summertime when you use the air conditioning and you got freezing air blowing through the heater system, it can freeze the heater core unless you have at least 20% of the glycol antifreeze in there. Now, when you have antifreeze and then it becomes acidic, an older glycol, now this is a situation for, that's why we really request people to change their antifreeze every at least 2, no more than 3 years. It's because you're going to have what's called silicate dropout, where the silicone will become like a green goo or a green slime. And that's the silicates inside of the glycol breaking down. Now, that's because of an acidic environment. All right. Now the water cooler doesn't contain any silicates, and it will help greatly reduce this dropout. Why? Because it will promote a pH balance and low acidic environment for this. Okay. And also it's because of the hot and cold swings of the coolant trying to work harder that breaks it down along with the acidic environment. The water cooler, because of its um, system chemistry, will help provide performance stability and reliability so that the glycol doesn't have to work as hard to break down. That's why when you have the addition of the SynMax water cooler, it converts it into a premium coolant chemistry. Here's the big kahuna. Electrolysis occurs when the coolant becomes acidic. You see, in an acidic environment, it's where the salts are released and you have increased voltage conductivity. An acidic condition, like a corrosive battery acid, causes the coolant to carry an electric charge. Electrolysis also decomposes or breaks down the coolant system components. Electricity within the coolant comes from non-mineral sources. Okay, we have static electricity that is created from the water friction against two dissimilar metals. What's that mean? Aluminum and iron are two dissimilar metals. Now, when you have a premium chemical surface treatment to coat the surface, it will greatly reduce the static friction cause and effect. Furthermore, today's modern engines with its computer sensors and fuel injection is a complicated electrical environment. When the motor is used as a ground, forcing electrical voltage to flow through the block, water captures the voltage. Furthermore, aluminum is an electroconductive metal. It's not designed to ground, but they do use it. What's that mean? Well, aluminum is going to conduct electricity a whole lot more than iron will. Therefore, we have to have a protection for the fluid flowing through the aluminum to eliminate this electrolysis problem or greatly reduce it. Now, one of the solutions of this, as we stated, is to use the purified water. Again, and I'm going to say it one more time, the minerals inside of regular tap water to the coolant and electrolysis environment are dangerous. You have to have neutral water in there. You saw in our other presentation that we talked about how the Department of Energy stated that minerals would conduct electricity. Electrolysis is nothing to play with. Furthermore, this is why we need to change our fluid every 2 to 3 years in long-term maintenance. But to use a proper chemistry, we can be able to have a concentrated product which is good for 3 gallons, which will perform the duties as everything listed here for the rust and the corrosion protection and the electrolysis protection and everything there. Now, if you want a simple pour and go system, we have our premix. It's the exact chemical concentrate to the purified water level. In racing, you use it 100%. In all weather situations, okay, you use 1 gallon of premix to 1 gallon of glycol for your 50-50 or 60-40 with no treatments. Now, this is really great for your diesel trucks, your commercial work, and your gasoline. Furthermore, this is a high-performance product to be used in your supercharger and turbocharger intercooler applications. So here we are at the end of our presentation from the all-weather maintenance and antifreeze effects and performance. And we encourage you to look at our other coolant system presentations, videos, and information. We're just getting you here to think, a positive way on how to have another resolution. So this is Clayton Balmas here with SynMax University at synmaxperformancelubricants.com. We want to thank you for our time together and look forward to seeing you at our next session. For technical test and brochure information on how the Aerospace Advantage for Motorsports can work with your race team or commercial requirements, please visit us at synmaxperformancelubricants.com.